Hi everybody, I'm here, Michael. My name is Michael Kyer, and I'm just getting set up. Before I start today, I'm going to let you know we've got a cold front coming in where I live, and my power's already blinked once. So if my stream drops, that's why. I hope that it doesn't. So I'm going to get things started with. Let's see, where am I going to get things started at? So first of all, my name is Michael Kyer. If you don't know me, I work with Zoom quite a bit, and that's what I'm going to talk about today. It's something that I really enjoy working with, and I think it's a very robust piece of software. It's been really good over the last year, and you know, a shout out to the developers for sure. It's the way this software scaled in the last year has just been amazing, and it's really been rock solid for a lot of us. So I just have to check something real quick and put that away because recording. Yes, I'm recording my thing. I totally forgot to do that last time, so it just started raining heavy. I forgot to record it last week, so that was a little embarrassing. I had a good session, but I didn't get recorded. So anyway, my name is Michael. I'm up here in the Pacific Northwest, and let me hear. I gotta think. I'll show you. All right, here. Let's see. Where am I at? I am right there. Okay, so if you can see that, I am way up in the top left-hand corner of the United States, Pacific Northwest. It gets very rainy here. It's raining right now. We've got like I said, we've got a cold front coming in, so it's going to be good. We get some nice storms, but the power can drop and the internet can drop, so there's all sorts of pieces that hopefully won't go wrong. So that's what we're hoping for today. All right, so first of all, this is a safe space. I keep things PG or G, so no swearing and that type of thing. If there's something that pops up in the chat that's questionable, I'm going to clear the chat or just turn it off. I don't have very many people on now, and the people who are on are pretty nice folks. So yeah, this is a safe space, and you are welcome here. I do a lot of this video conferencing, and so I know how stressful it can be to be on camera and deal with the chat and that type of thing. So I try to keep this PG. I've got a lot of younger viewers who are out there who we're not going to do, this isn't going to be a space that is questionable by any means. So with that said, I'm going to get started. Zoom, it's one of these things. I really like it, like I said, but there's a lot to it. There's a lot to it. There's lots of settings. There's lots of pieces to balance and juggle while you're working with it. So I'm going to run through all of those today, all the main ones. I'm not going to go too deep into all the settings. I'm going to try and keep it at just what the main controls are, so that if you are new to Zoom or you're looking for some, just that introductory level, that's what we're going to be doing today. There's always deeper settings. There's always more things to learn, but we're going to keep it kind of simple. Kind of keep this to an hour. I don't think that it'll take much longer than that, but I'll say when I get to a spot where there's something that is can be more involved, or that there's a lot of maybe more complicated for real, especially when we get to audio. Audio is a big one. Musicians out there, if there's any musicians in the audience, there's a lot of things that you can adjust, and that, again, it depends on what space you're in, what your audio environment is, and what type of instruments you're playing, and what you're trying to do. So those, I'm going to point them out, but I'm not going to go deep into all of the different variations, because there are so many variations. It can be overwhelming. But I'm going to try and not overwhelm you, and I'm going to try and start off slow and keep things slow. Try not to run through things too quickly. I can get talking pretty fast sometimes. I've gotten quite fluent with Zoom, so I can just prattle on very, 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 very quickly if I want to. And so part of what I'm doing now, getting used to this Twitch stream, is to kind of slow things down a little bit so that they're a little bit easier to understand. So first of all, when we get started with Zoom, you can just start a meeting and go. All right. But if you're going to be running an effective meeting as a host or as a co-host, then something that you want to do is make sure that your system is somewhat optimized. And so knowing your system, knowing what's going on in your system is important. So I'm going to go through a couple of really important things when I start Zoom, when I get ready to do a meeting. And one is checking my Windows updates, or turning them off, pausing them. And then the next one is my Zoom updates. And this is very important. Zoom has been going through a lot of growth in the last 20 months, 21 months. And so there's regular updates. There's updates all the time. They usually go on Mondays. And it's not every Monday, but it's a lot of Mondays. And you'll get new, maybe just there was a bug fix, or that you get some new functionality. Breakout rooms didn't used to be a thing, and spotlighting didn't used to be a thing, if you've heard about those. And so once those are incorporated into the new software, there's different versions. And not everybody's going to be on the same version, but it's a very good idea to update your software, and I'm going to show you how to do that. And then I'm going to go into just a Zoom meeting and show you all of the different buttons that are there and sort of how they interact. And I've got some helpers online with me today. They're going to help me out. You might recognize some of them. If you don't recognize me, I'm sure you'll recognize these fellas. Well, yeah, I'll show you. It's kind of a surprise. You'll like it. So let's see. Where are we going to start? I'm going to move something real quick out of the way. And this is one of the things. I don't have a helper with me in person to help me switch some of this stuff. So if it takes me a second, just bear with me. Let's see. Is anybody in chat? Anybody in chat, first of all? Nope. Okay. Oh, nope. Yep. Never mind. All right. I'm going to go ahead. If you are in chat, or you show up in chat, I'm going to go back to chat and show it in a little bit, but I'm not going to need it really right now. So let's switch up. Okay. That is my main screen, and I put a little, video of me up there in the corner so that you can see me, so you know where I'm at. And I've still got my chat overlay on there, so you can see that. So first thing, let's just start off with checking your Windows updates. All right, it's relatively simple. Let's see if I'm showing up. Yep, you see my cursor right there in the center. If you go down, I'm running Windows 10 on a PC, and for Zoom, I've got a paid account. So your computer, your Zoom account might be different, but the majority of this pertains to everybody. So it'll be similar, but maybe a little different in your particular case. So lower right-hand corner, you see a little thing that looks like a little what do you call it? A word cloud or something. This is where you get your notifications, and from here I'm just going to go to all settings. I'm going to pull that up, and then once that gets going, in a second, there we go. I'm going to scroll down to updates and open that up, And in my case, I checked this earlier, so I shouldn't have any updates right now, but we will see. You never know. There's always updates. So no, I'm up to date. Good to know. I suggest not updating your computer just before you go to do something important, at least a few hours prior, or preferably the day before, so that you don't get caught having to do a restart and that type of thing. But that's how you find it. Lower right hand corner, open that up, go to all settings, that'll pop up, and then you can look for your Windows updates. So, great thing to start with, really great thing to start with. Now, Zoom. Zoom updates, there's three main aspects to Zoom, and this is important to point out. There's your Zoom website, there's your Zoom app, and then there is the Zoom meeting window itself. And all three work together, and there are redundant controls within each one, and then there are some controls that are specific to each one of those. So I could go ahead and pop open a meeting right now and get that started, but it is best practice to double check all your settings before you go to do your meeting, because when you do an update, sometimes those settings will be reset back to their default settings, and so when you had something clicked, and now it will be unclicked. And that's it takes some getting used to. You might think your meeting is completely different, so it's always a good practice to go through and check your settings. So I'm going to start off with the Zoom website. And when you go in and you've signed up for Zoom and you've got your account, you log in and you're going to check your meeting settings. Now, there's a lot in the Zoom website, and I'm not going to go into the majority of that, but I'm going to go through the settings real quick and show you just exactly how many there are, because there are a lot of them. All right, there we go. All right, that is my Zoom settings. All right, so I've logged in. You can see my icon up here in the upper right-hand corner, and I've selected settings, and there's further submenus here. There's settings for your recordings, for your audio conferencing, and then these others as well. But what we're going to focus on right now is just this first basic settings for your meeting. This will determine how your meeting behaves. And it's different for everybody. Some people need certain aspects of it, and other ones aren't needed. But I like to make sure on mine particularly that the closed captioning is available. It's an accessibility concern, and it's a very good thing to be able to activate and allow your audience to have that functionality. So you can see here, as we start at the top, security, of course, I've enabled the waiting room so that you can't just come automatically into the meeting. I'll have to let you in. And then you've got settings about your passcodes, requiring passcodes, authenticating users, blocking users, scheduling a meeting. I like to do this having your video and your audio off when folks join a meeting, just because you're not caught off guard that, oh, all of a sudden you're on video. And so that can be that's something I think is just polite. I think that the comfort of your audience is an important thing, and I think that lends itself to that. So I generally have those off when you start the meeting, and then they can turn it on when you get there. And you can see there's all sorts of different things in here that are going to change the way your audience, the way your meeting behaves. Another one, muting all your participants when they enter. That's a good setting. I like that setting. While you're in the meeting, do you want the chat enabled? Sometimes the chat is helpful, sometimes the chat is not helpful. And in the case of my stream today, I've got the Twitch stream chat open so that I can see the folks that might want to say hi. But when you're in a meeting, you are running maybe something that is more of a presentation or something special, you might not want the chat enabled, and this is where you would go to disable or enable that. And you can, the private chat as well, that's another thing. Private chat is, I can send a chat message directly to you, and you can send one directly to me. So sometimes you might want to have that activated. That's a decision that you have to make for your particular meeting. Again, more and more and more feedback. Allowing co-hosts. If you have a paid account, you can assign co-hosts. So they'll have the same in-meeting controls as the host. And you can see on here, there's all these descriptions about what's actually going on. And so surveys, screen sharing, who can screen share, annotating when you have your share screen on, whether or not you want to include a whiteboard option for your shares. Remote control, that's a whole other thing you can get into. Meeting reactions, this is your ability to use emojis. And it goes back to, as well, like similarly with the chat, you might not want those people to be able to use emojis because it may distract attention away from the meeting that you're putting on. Now, I enjoy emojis. I think that they're just a fantastic way to quickly express a lot of information. So a simple, thumbs up or, a heart, those types of things, you're not having a whole sentence that you have to read, but you get the idea. You can say, yes, I like this, no, I don't, and I'll show you more of those as we get to having the meeting actually open. So again, these are where you come to get all these settings. Breakout rooms, you can have them enabled so that there's a button on in your meeting, or you can turn them off altogether if you're not going to use them. And breakout rooms are just separate, smaller rooms that your audience members can join and then come back to the main meeting. Very, very handy, very handy. But again, you might not use them. And here you are with your closed captionings. This is the one I like to use. And you can look into what all the different options here are, and again, you might not use them. Saving captions, virtual backgrounds. I love virtual backgrounds. Sometimes my background is pretty basic, but I do that because I like to use virtual backgrounds so I don't have a bunch of different things distracting or taking away from my virtual background. I encourage their use. I think that it's just a great thing. They're not perfect. They're not perfect, right? But, wow, it is really raining outside. The virtual backgrounds aren't perfect by any means, but they are well worth trying out and practicing with. And you can get them looking pretty sharp. You really can. You got to play with it a little bit and see what works, but they really are a good thing to use. Video filters, Immersive View, that's where you can put up a background in everybody's picture. It'll look like you're in a classroom, or look like you're in picture frames, or there's all sorts of these that'll enhance your meeting so you just won't have the basic black background that is in a usual Zoom meeting. So settings, and more settings. It's actually not a terribly long list. You can see if I scroll here. Yes, it's a list, but it's not huge. You can go through real quick, check the things that you want to make sure are checked, and you're good to go. Now, I spent a lot of time talking about this because it's an important thing, but we are just going to go ahead and let that close. Okay. Back to my desktop. Now, the Zoom app itself, this is the second part of Zoom, and I'm going to go a little bit quicker through this one, but it's got a lot of stuff in it as well. But there's a couple important things to know. First thing is that the Zoom app itself is software that you download when you sign up for Zoom. Now, you may not do that. You may just join directly from a browser, and that's an option when you're joining a meeting. Maybe you don't want to download that software. Maybe it's too much additional strain on your system. There's a number of reasons, but if you've downloaded the software, you'll get an app, and the app is just a little box that looks like that. Now, this is your home screen of the app, and you've got your couple of main buttons here. You can schedule, and you can, in this case, I'm in a meeting. I've got a meeting running, but this is the big orange button where you can just start a meeting instantly. So you open your app, boom, you're in a meeting. This is your home tab. You can see these at the top. Chat, this is where you can chat with all your contacts or your channels, which is just a group of people, a group of contacts. I use it as a separate chat channel. It's not a channel in the Zoom meeting, but it's very handy if you've got co-hosts, and then you can all chat in a separate space. It's got some more functionality to it, and you don't have to work in the in-meeting chat space. So I'll show you here. I've got one for my team, and we've got, this is where those messages would be. So if I chat with my team, I say, hi team, it's going to show up, and then each one of my teammates will have a chat here. So a few things here, more options, channel information. You can add a little description there. You can find out which members. So there's many things that you can do with this, and it's worth noting that this is another piece of Zoom that exists. Now, most important with this app is that you can check your setting. You check your updates from here. Now, Zoom just had a big update this morning, so we're on version 5.8.4. and I'm going to show you how to check that. So you go up to your little icon up here in the corner and open that up, and you just scroll down to check updates. Check updates, check, and I'm up to date. Yep, I'm up to date. So that's where it's pretty straightforward to check. If there is an update, you'll see that it starts to download, and then you can just tell it to update, and it'll refresh your app, and you'll be up to the latest version. So it's a good idea to check it yourself. It's a good idea to know how to check it so you can explain it to other people, and keep up to date. And you can also check the release notes, and this is what is in that new update. It'll tell you a list of all the things that are new, and so you can look at that, beforehand, or you can go back and reference it. But this is a link. This is an outside link. This will open a browser window, and then you can take a look at those. And I really recommend updating it if there's an update available. I know that some folks will, think that, oh, I don't need that particular functionality or whatever it is, but eventually Zoom will force you to update once a certain number, you're behind a certain number of updates. So if you're 5 updates behind, at some point Zoom is going to make that, it's going to force that to happen. So it's a good idea to be one step ahead of it and up to where everybody else is at, so you can take full advantage of all of the different functionality that Zoom has. So I spent some time now on the Zoom website and the Zoom app, and those are important. But I'm going to be done with those for right now. And let's just check the chat real quick. Okay, it looks like we have a couple people in there. If you say hi, let me know where you're coming from. My name's Michael. I'm up in the Pacific Northwest of the United States, and it's raining, and we've got a storm coming in. So I'm very happy that my stream has held up until this point. So now I'm going to show you a Zoom meeting. I assume I started a Zoom meeting. I've called some friends, and you'll see now who I've got in here. All right, there is my Zoom meeting. You see my friends. I'm going to open that up a little bit bigger. All right, so those are my friends. Helper 1, 2, and 3. Just labeled them real quick. You've got Harry, you've got Ron, you've got Dobby. It was just, a little easy thing to do. So kind of fun, but they're going to help me demonstrate the spotlight function. So let's see. I am going to just real quick remove my, there, turn that off. Now, so I've got nobody saying hi in the chat, but I'm going to turn this off right now, just so you can see my full screen. Let's see, nope, not that one, this one. Okay, there we go. All right, now you can see my full screen. I have my webcam set to my streaming software. So I had to switch over so that I can bring it back up on my Zoom one. We're going to see if this actually works. I had an issue with this before. Nope, there I go. Okay, there I am. So I'm in a Zoom meeting with 3 friends and start going through some of the actual buttons in the Zoom meeting that are all important. So at the bottom is your dashboard, and I've set it so that it'll go away here in a second, so it's not always showing, but that's something you can change in your settings. You can say, you know, hey, I want to see my dashboard all the time, and you can set it that way, but for me right now, I don't need to see the whole time. But my audio is coming through a different place, but this down in the lower left-hand corner, most important button in Zoom is the mute button. And that's the one thing you have to remind people a lot of, is that they'll start speaking and they'll be muted, and you'll have to tell them and describe where that button's at. In many cases, you'll have to do that. So bottom left-hand corner right there, this little upside-down V is called a caret. And it will open up more settings where you can select which microphone you're using. So here you can see microphone I can select, this one I'm using. This is the one I've got set for Zoom, which speakers you're using, and then you can also test them to see if you're getting the sound. And you can pull up your audio setting. I'm not going to pull that right now because it takes you, there's a number of different the different settings to show you, but this is a place where you can add those quickly. And one of the nice things about Zoom that I've found is that you can get to a lot of these different controls in a lot of different places. So I think it's voting just that this is one of those spots. And the same goes for the video button. I can turn this off and I will disappear, and then I can turn it back on. And then if I have more than one camera, I can go here, and these are all different cameras that I've hooked up at some point. Go directly to your settings with these different ones at the bottom, and you know, again, same setting window that'll pop up, but very easily accessible. The security button, this one's important. This determines how your meeting behaves and gives you the option to control it as you go through. So clicking on that, you've got these to lock your meeting. You want to enable your waiting room. My waiting room is currently enabled, meaning that you can't just come right into the meeting. And so if I wanted to disable this, I would uncheck it. Okay, so I've disabled the waiting room, but I'm going to turn it back on. And same thing with the other things you can allow your participants to do. They can share their screen, they can chat, all these pieces. But at the bottom, suspending your participants' activities is important. In case you get someone who's not nice, who it may be causing trouble, this is a quick way just to lock everything, and then those folks won't be able to cause any more trouble. Very important thing to know, and you can avoid a lot of trouble by the way you advertise your meeting and how you control that initial link that you're sending out to people for it. But there's always a possibility that you're going to, run into somebody who's not nice, and this is the spot where you can lock your meeting down and close everything off. I'm not going to do that because I've got my helpers set up, and it's over there, and I don't want to get up and go turn them off and turn them on and that type of thing. So for right now, that's where that button's at. It's a good thing to know where that's at. Participants, this is going to give you a list of everybody in the meeting. Before I pull that out, this little caret here next to it, you can invite people who aren't in the meeting. That'll bring up another menu that I won't go into today, but you can invite people to your meeting and be able to you know, I'm actually a little bit high on my, there, is that a little bit better? Yeah, that's a little bit better. Let's see. Yeah, okay, Justin. You can invite them directly from there, but the participants button is going to bring up a list of everybody in your meeting. So it'll pop up there. On the right-hand side, you can see me, my 3 helpers, and the little icons right next to it will tell you if your helper is muted or if their video isn't working or is on or off. If those icons aren't there, then they aren't connected either to video or audio. So if you have somebody who's having trouble, you can look there and you can say, hey, you know, your audio's not connected or your video's not connected. And if you take your cursor and move it over, you'll be able to see how that highlights and it gives you some more options here. So you can ask that particular helper to unmute. You can also rename and make them a co-host if you want. That'll give them the controls that the host has. You can add a spotlight here, and that will bring just that one person into focus for everyone. It can be very handy when you're running a meeting and you want to switch directly to a person or a helper, and it's right there. The pin button, that is something that will bring up a view of one particular person for you. Everybody in the meeting is not going to see that pin, but if you want to monitor one particular video feed or something like that, this is where you would do that. You can pin that and then be able to monitor a couple of different people or a couple of different video feeds. So a bunch of handy things there. And then this is a direct chat button. You can directly chat with that person, and that'll bring you up a chat window that you can put your text in and chat immediately with them. Very handy as well. So that's your participants panel, but something down here at the bottom. See, you've got the 3 little dots there. I hope you can see that cursor. That's called an ellipsis, and that's another menu. I know, everybody's excited. Another menu. How many menus have I showed you? Who's counting? Somebody in the chat who knows that how many I've showed you so far. There's I think I've gone through 8 different sub-menus, so there's a lot of them. But there's 3 little buttons. It's called an ellipsis, and these are more redundant controls that are similar to the ones under the security shield button. So you can ask people to unmute. You can then also allow them or disallow them to unmute themselves. And this is a pretty, in the lock meeting, you can lock your meeting from here as well. I like it. Now, a cool thing, this is a cool thing, I like this. Up in the top hand corner of your participants button is this little caret. Again, just like your video button. And you can close the participants panel from your light and pop it out away from the meeting window. So now you've got a list of your participants and you can move it all around. And that's pretty cool. So if you've got a really long list of participants, you can resize this. So now, if I had a bunch of participants in here, I could see a lot more of them, and so that can be pretty nice, especially if you've got more than one monitor. You're doing a large meeting with a large number of people. Very handy to be able to pop that out and move it around someplace that's more convenient, maybe than just right there attached to your meeting. But maybe you get done with it. Go back down to the ellipsis, and you're going to merge it to the meeting window. So it's going to go right back where it was. And if you go and click the participants button again, participants panel goes away. Pretty cool. Chat button. This opens your chat feature. Same deal. Side panel on the chat. If there's more people in here, I can say, "Hi, helpers," and that's going to show up. And all my helpers can chat in here if I have chat enabled. So that is similar to the participants panel. You've got your ellipsis at the bottom, and you can control how people can chat. And again, another caret at the top, and you can pop this one out too. This is, again, I think this is cool because I use Zoom a lot, so I really do a lot of arranging of my windows, and so I can pop this one out and move it around. So if I've got a chat and it's really long, I can resize it, and there you go. Now, a quick trick. If you are in the chat and you can't see it, it's too small, you can hold down your control button and press the plus button, and that's going to increase the size, the font, up pretty sizable. So now, of course, that distorts, but if this window is open a little bit, much bigger, easier to see. If you were going to display that for somebody, or you weren't able to see as well, that's a great thing to be able to do. So control button and the plus and minus button. So minus, down, say 100%, then you can see how small that gets. So, and then you've also got your emojis that you can add. Lots of different emojis. Put those in the chat. Let's just put a smiley because it's happy. And enter. There you go. Add an emoji to the mix. Like I said, emojis can really express a lot of information very quickly without having to type out, "Oh boy, I'm so happy," emoji. Boom, done. So where are we at with this? And then same, merge back to the meeting window. And so I can close this, but I can also have the participants panel open at the same time, and it's going to split. So I've got the participants panel up on the top and the chat panel down on the bottom. I can pop either one of these out, pop it right back in, and so you can kind of arrange that in different ways. Really good thing to know. Again, if you're using two monitors, if you use Zoom as a host or as a co-host, it's very handy. Pop those out, open them at the same time, and be able to customize it the way you want. So we're going to go ahead and close both of those right now because we just showed them real quick. But you saw everybody, I think. All right. See, share screen. This is a big one. I'm not going to go into this one in super detail because there's a lot to it. But on my share screen, the caret, first of all, you can determine who's going to share and how they can share. But that's not as important as the big green button. So if you see, there's actually the big green button. Wait a second. Sorry about that. Lots of talking. A little drink of water never hurts. Screen where I've got my my streaming software set up. If I wanted to share my main screen or my other screen, you can access a whiteboard from here. That's pretty neat. Let's just click that. I'm going to share that real quick. And brings up a share screen. You can draw on it. That's pretty neat. Collaborative, collaborative space. And there's all sorts of different things. You can move the bar around. You can move pieces around. There's an eraser. You can clear it all together. You can save what you were doing. The stamp is kind of nice. That gives you a, let's see, a star. So I've got the stamp, and now I can go star, star, star. So if we're drawing, I can bring attention to something. And I have seen a lot of really neat ways that people use this. So when you get a chance, try playing with it a little bit beforehand so that you know how it works, but definitely try it out. And at the bottom, you can see here, your dashboard is always there. It's available. And you can move it around in case you need it in a more convenient spot. You can stop your share from here, and you can open up all your different same meeting meeting windows from here in your chat. Now that's open. And so for right now, I'm just going to stop share, but like, there's a whole bunch more settings that you can go in here and check, but we're going to switch shares real quick and sharing my screen. And another important piece is, do I want to share my system sound? If I'm going to be playing music on it and I want you to be able to hear, this is an important button to check. Now, once you've checked it, it will stay checked for the rest of the meeting unless you uncheck it. So important, remember, when you're going to do a share, do your double check to make sure that you have your share sound enabled. And another cool thing is in the advanced button is you can share just your computer audio. So you could play your music in the background while you had your meeting running. So that's kind of neat. But this video button, when you click on that, that's going to bring up another menu, one of your file manager menus, where you can share a video directly from the file. And so that will bring up a window that can play it, and it's very quick to get to that. You don't have to have a third piece of software running. That's Zoom's built-in video player. And I've been using that a lot recently, and it's very quick when you want to share a video, and it doesn't show your cursor. If you've tried sharing a video by putting it up on one screen and then sharing that screen, you know how you can see your cursor move across the screen. It's not like that if you're sharing the video directly from the file itself, your video file stored on your computer. So that's a really neat thing. This portion of it, I haven't used this, you can share just a particular portion of your screen. So if you really wanted to focus on something, you can pick, an upper corner or, just one particular piece of it. And teachers, especially any educators out there, sharing a portion of your screen that you want to focus on. There's lots of creative ways you can share a portion of your screen. So definitely check that out if you are using Zoom in a very a creative or an educational way. That can be very, very handy. Now, once you've selected what you want to do, I want to share my computer audio or my video, then you would just hit the share screen button, and that will put your share screen up. Now, how the share screen behaves is really a whole other lesson, I guess, in itself. So I'm not going to go into that today because it's pretty. Your Zoom meeting window changes, and oh boy, I'm going to sneeze. Pardon me for a minute. Woo! Sorry about that. But your meeting windows are going to change, and it takes a little bit to get used to, so it's worth practicing beforehand. And in another stream, I'll go into more detail about how your screen changes. But if you've been in a meeting before and you've seen it used, optimize the resources of your computer a little bit better, and so that you can also see what it is you're sharing. But it juggles your screens around, and I try to tell that to folks who are going to be a co-host, and we're going to be sharing. If they're not used to it, if you go to share something and all of a sudden your Zoom meeting disappears, your Zoom meeting window disappears, it can kind of freak you out a little bit, and so it's something to practice beforehand with somebody else. So I'm going to go ahead and close that, but that's where it's at. Once you've selected what you want, then you hit your share button, and that's going to take care of it. So, all right, share screen. Recording on Zoom, that's the next button. You've got two options here. One is to record to my computer, and the other one is to the cloud. Now, the Zoom accounts, you get, I think it's a gigabyte of memory that you can make your recording, which is about an hour with a paid account. So it's not a whole ton, but you can record some of your basic meetings, and there's lots of cool functions with that. But recording to your computer, if you do that, when you get done, your convert is what it says, and then you'll be able to have that recording right on your computer. Recording. Record, don't record, record, don't record. We'll leave it at that. Live transcripts. This is the one I said was pretty important for accessibility. Being able to read what's going on. And you notice I didn't have it activated for the majority of this. I should have. I didn't do it. But live transcript, you need to enable it. So live transcript, enable auto transcription here at the bottom. These other two, you can have somebody type out what's happening, or have another piece of software, if there's another piece of software that you like, to do the transcription for you. But for right now, I'm just going to enable that, and you can see now there I am. But it's not going to show up because, let's see. Okay, so I've got my other meetings going. That's what that reverb was. And but if I had my audio running through my Zoom meeting, it would show up there at the bottom. And so live transcript, very, very handy. And then you can disable it, and you can also change the font on it in the same way that you can change the font in the chat. So you can make it a little bit bigger, a little bit smaller, whichever might work for you. So I'm just going to disable that because I can't make use of it right now. I wish I could, but I can't. So, breakout rooms. This is another big one. I'm not going to go too deep into this one because, but what it does is it opens up another set of rooms that your audience can go into, so you get smaller groups. And it's very handy if you've got a large number of people, or you want to have, a small, welcome session where everybody's just going to, introduce themselves real quick. A bunch of different reasons to use breakout rooms. And if you're the host or the co-host, if you're the host, you can set these up. And you click on that, and that'll, how many breakout rooms do you want to create? So in this case, it's going to give me 3 per room. I can pull breakout rooms that give me about 2, 3, 4, there's how many breakout rooms do I want to create? Now this is just, as it's set, it'll just automatically assign these. So all these people will be, randomly assigned or automatically assigned. You can set it to assign it manually so that you, as the host, can decide who goes into what room. Or, more handy, is to let your participants choose which room they want. And that gives that a little bit more flexibility so that your people can move around between your different rooms. And that is a little bit easier to manage than assigning it manually or just automatically. Depending on how you want to use it, but you can decide how many rooms you want to make. And then once you've done that, I'm going to turn that off. Once you've done that, you click Create, and the rooms will be created. And as the host, you'll see a list, and you can assign people to these. You can delete. You can rename the room. That can be handy if you want to have individual person host the room. You could say this is John's room, or this is Harry's room, or this is a helper, number 1 room. Label it whatever you want, and then so your folks can jump back and forth between it. Maybe you want to go back and recreate them, you want to add another room, but in this case these are fine by me, so I'm going to open them all up. And all your participants are going to get a message inviting them to the room, and they just need to accept that, and they'll go directly to that room. It'll be difficult for me to demonstrate right now because my helpers are they're not really able to go ahead and click everything, if you can see them. So, I don't know. I thought it was funny. If you don't think it's funny, I don't know. But once your rooms are created, you can close them all from here, and you can also broadcast a message to all of them. So I could tell people, hey, I'm going to close these rooms. If you are done with what you're talking about, come back to the main meeting. Whatever your message is, it'll send that in a chat form to all your rooms. Maybe you're done with them, close them all. It'll give you a certain amount of time, 60 seconds. They can leave then or wait for 60 seconds, and those will close, and it'll send everybody back to the main meeting. So that's that. Right, now the support button, that will actually give you support in the chat from the Zoom folks. And I believe it's an automated chat function. I haven't used that so much, but that is something for a later date to get into a little bit more. Reactions. This is your emojis. This is where you find your raise hand function. That's going to show up in your participants list. Reactions. If I raise my hand, it's going to show up there next to my name, and that's going to stay there. And you can see it also in my right there in my screen, and then also over here next to my name. And that's just an indicator. All right, it's just an indicator. I can lower it from up here. Oh, maybe not. But I can also lower it here, lower it, raise it, lower it. And then these other buttons here are also sticky. So once you check it, that green check mark, you can use that for yes. You can use as a positive. And the same with these other ones. Stop or no, slow down, speed up, and I'm going for coffee. That's my most favorite one, is I'm going for coffee. So, and you can turn those back off. Now, your emojis themselves, once you click on these ones, these little ones, they're going to show up on your screen again, just like the other one, but they only last for 10 seconds, so they'll time out. So while you're, you can, quick, yay, love it, love it, love it, love it, love it, and then it'll disappear. So different than the raise hands and different from the yes and no and speed up and slow down. And then again, if you have this enabled in your settings, that I showed way back at the beginning, like 53 minutes ago, you can you'll be able to access these. Now, this is a secret function in Zoom. Well, not secret really, but you see this other ellipsis right here? That brings up a full list of emojis. All right, so you've got all your different emojis available here. All right, so there's, I don't know how many combinations, but there's a lot. Directly search for something that you're looking for, jump ahead to a category, travel, objects, flags, that's always fun, flags, time. So you have access to a full range of emojis here. And you can also find those in the chat as well. Again, your full range of emojis. And let's just add a cat. Why not? Add a cat. So cat in the chat. Cat in the chat. There you go. So if you're watching and you understand cat in the chat, say hi in the chat. All right. So emojis, chat. Go ahead and close those. All right, and more. Now, sending this directly to YouTube, Facebook. You can live stream from here. Use that. That's what I used to use all the time, sending stuff to YouTube. But now I'm using different broadcast software, sending it to a different place. But from Zoom, you can send that out. So you might not have somebody who can access a meeting, who can't get into Zoom or doesn't want to get into Zoom, but they can watch it on YouTube. So it takes a little bit to set up. YouTube account set up. Go in, and there's a couple of other steps to it. And again, that's for a stream later on. But for right now, that's where you would access that if that was something you wanted to do. All right, so I can always end this meeting. If you're getting tired, I could end it, but I'm not going to do that right now. I've got a couple more things to show you real quick, and then we're going to be done. So the view button, this is really important. Person can their own view. Spotlight thing, or you've got it set to speaker view, you can change it individually. Now, if you just wanted to see the speaker, and in this case, I don't remember who the speaker was. Yep, that's me. So I've spotlighted myself. Why am I spotlighted? I don't want the spotlight. I want it on the speaker. So Dobby here is the speaker, but I can go right back to gallery view even though I don't have that set. So right there. Depending on what you want to do, if you just want to watch the speaker, if you want to see everybody in the meeting, it depends on what you're going to use it for. It really does. You can also see stop by incoming video. This is really important. You've got limited system resources. Stopping that incoming video is going to not put as much load on your network or on your computer, so you'll have a better viewing experience, but you're not going to be able to see everybody. You'll be able to see set for seeing the speaker only, and but it saves on system resources, so that's why that's there. Now, full screen, this is going to eliminate my computer band or taskbar here at the bottom and the blue Zoom meeting window at the top. So it's a little bit nicer, a little bit less distracting, and if I wait, my dashboard is going to go away, and so that's pretty nice, pretty clean presentation here. You still have access to your dashboard, you still have access to your view button, and then you can always exit that. So, immersive view. This is pretty cool. This puts you into, brings up a list, and I can put everybody, make them look like we're in a big seminar hall, or that, let's see, the pictures. This is a nice one. You can see that. I'll just start that one real quick. There you go. Now it looks like we're all in pictures. If you only got 5 people, this would be a way to do it. It's maybe a little bit nicer than what we just had, but you can change that back again from the view button, upper right hand corner. Change immersive view, or go back to your speaker, and this will stop that view. So that's another thing we can play around with on a different day, but it adds a little bit. It's a little bit nicer view if you stop your meeting a little bit. So that's where you find that gallery view speaker. If you're the host or the co-host, you can set that up there. And so one more thing before we go. We're getting close to an hour, so I'm going to get close to stop this. We've got your original sound and your security button up here. Now, original sound, the audio settings for Zoom are, there's a lot of them, but you can suppress some of the background noise, but sometimes you want the direct audio feed that's coming from your camera or your microphone, and so this is a spot is your original sound. So this is an important one, but you can select which microphone you're going to use for that, and turn this on and turn this off from here, depending if you're playing an instrument and you want the original sound off, and then you want to switch back to it. Very easy, handy spot to get to it. So it's right there. The little security shield, this gives you a whole bunch of information about your meeting. So it's my meeting, meeting ID, passcode, an invite link. So you can copy that here, put that, it'll copy it directly to your clipboard, open your email, send it right from there. And then overview of my security settings. So additional information there. So we've done one big spin around this main Zoom window, and oh, I got a first-time chat from Audrey. It looks like, if I got it wrong, let me know. You're learning so much. Thank you. That's fantastic. I hope so. Zoom, there's a lot to learn in Zoom, So you gotta continually try, continually learn with it. So So one last thing before we go, I'm going to go to the settings from your Zoom app to show some of the adjustments that you can make to your meeting. So I'm going to make this just a little bit smaller, collapse that down. Open my Zoom app. You can see that. Go up to the top. Go to my settings. Okay, I can access this from all of those little sub-menus in my meeting. Real quick, we'll go back to that. All of these caret ones. That'll take you audios. This audio setting will take you here. The video setting here will take you there. So it's the same settings button, but those take you directly where you're going. So in this case, I'm going to start it with general, and then again, you can see this will customize in many different ways how your meeting behaves. And this is a matter of going through and just determining which ones are most important for you. Video changes here, mirroring your video depending on which way you're comfortable seeing it. Let me flip it real quick. There you go. Flip it. For me, this is disorienting for me, so I mirror it. Touching up your appearance, this is great. It works for me when I don't shave, and so I can adjust that and touch up my appearance, but if you can see, I'll take it way down. And you can see I haven't shaved as much, so it can I can get a whole extra day without shaving because of that. So thank you, Zoom. And a whole other bunch of adjustments here. Same thing with your audio. This is so you can suppress your background sound. And again, like I was saying, this is something, especially if you're musicians, for the musicians out there, this is something that is going to, you're going to be working with a lot. Maybe you want to not suppress your background noise, or you can, the option here to enable your original sound, echo cancellation, stereo audio. I mean, there's advanced settings beyond this. So audio is a big deal, and audio is king when it comes to meetings. Video is great, but if a dog barks in the background, that's instantly going to take everybody's attention. So watching out for audio, being able to explain where the mute buttons are, in the audio settings are, audio, it really comes first, even though we're really focused on the video aspect of it. It's the audio that's going to really control the attention in your meeting. So going through these, checking these, important. Share screen, that'll determine how that behaves. Same with chat. And if you've got your Zoom, if you've got apps attached to your Zoom meeting, you can access those here. This is where you find your virtual background. I like these, so I encourage using them. Let's see, put me in the United States. Wait for it. There we go. So you can see that. Let's open that up a little bit more. So you can see that one. I'm gonna go. Spotlight that so you can see my virtual background. I don't want to do that. And it's flipped, so the United States is backwards on this one. So if I wanted to show that regularly, I would go back to my video settings and no, I go back to, where'd you go? There you go. Mirror my, give it a second. Okay, it's not going to play well with me for some reason. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I am going to turn it off though, because I don't necessarily need it. So if you see my video is choppy, it's because virtual backgrounds do take additional system resources. So that's something to keep in mind. If you've got an older computer, slower computer like mine, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. You're not going to have the best video quality. Settings for your recording and accessibility, this is important. This is where you're going to find where you can display. This is you can adjust your chat display size, and it shows you right here control plus and minus, or you can come here and set it. Then you change the size of your font, and then or way up here, I'll show you. So those are settings for that, and then you've got more screen reader alerts that you can work through there. So settings, like I said, there's a lot of them. I don't know how many I did so far throughout this. I'll have to go back and check when I've got this all wrapped up. But lots of settings, lots of things to check, lots of things to kind of keep in mind. A checklist works great for that. But the more you use it, the more familiar you'll get with it. Once the website settings are set, you don't generally have to change those during a meeting. And same thing with the app settings. Once those are set, generally you're not going to have to change those. The majority of the settings you're going to have to change are actually in the meeting. So for here in the security, these are the ones you're generally going to be changing the most. So that's Zoom in a nutshell, or in an hour and 7 minutes. I hope I didn't bore you completely. I use Zoom a lot. I love it. I've got lots of experience with it, and so explaining it, working with it, talking about it is just something that I like doing. So I hope you've gained something out of this. If not, leave me a comment. Tell me what I can do better. My name is Michael Kyer. I'm streaming on Twitch Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays at 10 a.m. Pacific time. I'm really glad you stopped by if you did. If you're watching this on YouTube, thanks for clicking on there. Leave me a comment there. If you're looking at this from the future, it's raining right now at my house, and I guess that's it. Let's see if anybody's here. Let's double check. Is anybody here? I do have a couple people. Okay, thank you so much for stopping by. You don't have to leave a comment if you don't want to, but I enjoy comments. I enjoy talking to people. I'm going to have some more that are more just like open discussions, so we'll be using the chat a little bit more with those ones, but for today, these demonstration ones, it's easier just to go right through them. So I guess that's it. All right, have a great day. It's November, and we're getting towards winter time here in the Northern Hemisphere, so we're getting geared up for that. We've got a cold front coming in at my house, so it might snow later on, but if it doesn't, it's going to be probably a couple of inches of rain. A couple of inches of rain is a lot of rain, so anybody familiar with that knows what I'm talking about. I'm going to get off of here. Looks like my stream worked the whole time. I was kind of worried about that, but we'll see how that turns on the replay. All right. Thank you so much, and stop by and tune in on Wednesday. I don't have the schedule up yet, but when I do, I'll give you an idea of what I'm going to be doing then. And I'll be I try to go through Zoom every time, or not every time, but when there's some new updates, some new features, or some things have changed, worth going back through it again. Okay, have a great day. Great to see you, and that's it. Okay.